And we are live. Hello and welcome to another review from the benefit of the Doud Podcast. And joining me as always is Mr. Cliff. Cliff, how you doing this evening?
Feeling very photogenic.
Are you?
Well, it's
I
because we're
hope
doing
so.
it's because we're doing a webcam review, so I had to powder my face. No, actually, I've got a little shine on my nose.
I was going to say, if you're not feeling photogenic, we are going to have issues with this particular review because we are looking at, well, interestingly enough, we are looking at exactly what our audience has been looking at for the past several months, because we are looking at the webcam that you and I have both been using. We both have the same model, and it is the audience has literally been watching the result of this webcam.
Exactly. We've been
It's
testing
been about
it.
like 3 months now, right?
Right. Yeah, I'd say we've actually been using you to as part of our review testing. So there you go.
Exactly. Don't you feel used, or do you feel loved? It could go either way. But
I would feel more
Cliff,
loved if you guys commented even more down in,
Yeah, absolutely. Drop us some comments. Let us know what webcams you're using. But no, Cliff, this was actually this webcam came to us as a result of research on Cliff's part. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Cliff so that he can tell us a little bit about the webcam.
Nothing more exciting than a webcam review. Actually,
yeah, baby.
Webcams came into focus during the pandemic because everybody started working
I see
home.
what you did there. That's clever.
That was actually an unintended pun, but once you pointed it out, I'm like, So webcams became of a lot more importance during the pandemic. And I don't know about you, but I haven't really paid that much attention to webcams, or hadn't.
Not a hell of
pre
a
the
lot,
pandemic for years, because honestly, the only time you saw any real innovation with them was the stuff that was actually built into like a laptop. Because the stuff that was on the market, mostly from like Logitech and then from some other companies like Razer, there were some gaming focused ones, but those models didn't change that much over 4 or 5 years. They just kind of sat on the shelf,
Right.
and that was what you got unless you spent a ton of money. And then it actually became really hard to find. I remember I had to replace I had this Logitech. I don't remember the model number, but I had it since I started doing original video podcasts back in like 2010. And I had the same one forever.
Jeez.
So going back to the pandemic, it was something everybody started working from home more. And number one, webcams became very hard to find. And in general, just weren't that good. Right.
Fair.
And so I think several companies saw opportunities.
Oh my God. So many companies saw opportunities.
So many companies. Yeah, exactly. and so Lumina is one of those companies that was started up. I don't remember the brand story. I know they're a small company, and this is their first product. And so Lumina takes advantage of artificial intelligence to do a lot of the heavy lifting for things that, rather than like, now there are a few webcams out there that have a 1-inch sensor, right? Like a big sensor, which you would normally see something like that in some form in like a high-end like 4K video camera, or in digital SLRs and things like that. So there have been different approaches to solving the same problem, which is how to get better video and sometimes stills and sometimes audio on your Zoom calls or your StreamYard calls like us.
Right, exactly.
And so Lumina came to the market, I think, at the beginning of 2021, something like that, maybe 2022. Okay. And I believe when it came to market, it was around $249. And like I said, that they are, as much as anything, an AI company who built a webcam to show off some of the things that they do really well, and use AI to do some of the things like doing artificial bokeh, similar to what smartphones do in a portrait mode.
Yeah.
And so I was not particularly happy with the webcam that I had. I actually purchased a Dell webcam that did 4K video, and that's what you saw I guess Christmas time from me.
That was one that used to like follow you around and actually cause all
sorts of hilarity. Yeah, and while it was a huge upgrade from what I had before, I still wasn't that happy with it. Like considering how expensive it was, because I think I paid $200 for it from Dell directly when it came out. Mac support for it was not great, and in general, I had the frustrations with it that were, like you said, really annoying with the way that the auto framing, it just caused so many issues, and it wasn't particularly great with the backdrop. So, during Black Friday, I purchased this camera that we're reviewing now. It was on sale for I think $149, and I started using it. And I thought, well, this is pretty great. We maybe now that I've got this, maybe we should consider it for reviews. So we got another one in for you eventually. Yeah. So like you said, we've both been using it regularly. I guess about 3 months. And so to give you an idea of some of the competition, I think Razer just introduced, like I was talking about, one of those cameras that has a 1-inch sensor, and I think it costs like $300,
something like that.
Yeah, you were at CES, you saw it, so right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at, and there are a few others, but so yeah, we've been using this for about 3 months, and I think we've had enough time with it to give you what I think is a pretty comprehensive review. Yeah, and exactly. So you and I are using it in two different ways. I have a green screen backdrop, and you don't, and normally you've got it kind of positioned high up, and it gives you a larger field of view, and you got it moved down right now just so we can get a little bit, I guess, what I would call a better shot of it, so you can actually see what it looks like.
Well, yeah, I've got it down here so that I can actually grab it and introduce Skippy the review cam, because we want to take you on like a little bit of a hardware tour for it. And we also have an alternate camera set up for me, because we have a stupid number of cameras in my office, and that's where that's kind of where we ended up.
So, So I guess the first thing I can do is, before we actually jump into the hardware itself, I want to show you some of the things that comes in the box and just the packaging very briefly, right?
So, absolutely.
Very like minimal design in the packaging, but it feels very premium. And then in the box, which I thought was really cool, it comes with the USB-C to USB-A cable that I've actually got it connected to with my computer right now, as well as a USB-C to USB-C cable.
Okay.
And a USB-C to USB-A adapter. Why that's
other way around,
I don't know,
but
right. Yeah. Is it?
It's USB-A to USB-C.
No, it's USB-C to USB-A, because you actually have where it plugs into USB-C, and then anyway.
Yeah.
Semantics. And then it comes with a card that it uses to tune the color based on the lighting in your room. That's part of the AI that helps to tune your camera for
and
making you look your best.
The fact that it sends you this is pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, just because otherwise, and we'll get into some of the software stuff that you can do, but otherwise, like most people are going to like set up a webcam and that's it. Right. But this actually allows you to really fine tune the experience so that you can get the best picture that you can use.
Sure,
and considering we're a podcast that pivoted to YouTube, we felt it was pretty important to actually get a pretty good picture.
And really, I've never seen
YouTube.
I've never seen another webcam that comes with something like this. The only thing I've ever used that's even
I
similar
haven't
to this is something from X-Rite, which is what you like for calibrating monitors in a studio environment for like graphic designers. Will come with something like that. So this is really cool. So with that said, I with the amount of accessories that I showed you, I think that's a lot of value. This is not an inexpensive webcam, but it's also not the most.
It's not terribly expensive.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most webcams that provide you any quality start around $100. But with that said, let's take a look at the hardware. Do you want to bring
in? We're gonna switch over to Adam Altcam. Hello,
also known as iPhone,
also known as Adam's iPhone. And with that, I'm going to.
Cannot hear you right now. This is great TV.
No, you're right, because Okay. Well, no,
Maybe
you know what? I guess we're just gonna have to leave because with StreamYard, the video and the audio are tied to the same
that's right.
presence.
That's right.
So I can't turn the camera off without also turning off the audio. I did not think about that.
And this is what happens when you try to review a ton of different kinds of products. This is our first time
Yeah.
reviewing a webcam and doing it live on a video podcast. So
You know what I can do?
you can just bring Skippy over, right? Like,
Can you still hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So the first thing, well, let's go ahead and bring up Skippy. Hello, Skippy.
Yeah,
So
what Adam just did there was use that little slider that you see, and I'm sure he's about to show you.
Yeah. So, and you can see my my Galaxy S23 Ultra is Skippy the review is playing the part of Skippy the review cam today. But so the first notable feature about this webcam is this little shutter, and this is a magnetic shutter that magnetically attaches to the thing. You can slide it over, but actually what Lumina recommends is that instead of sliding it left and right, because when it's over here, it's not that sturdy, like you can still move it around, but what Lumina actually recommends you do is actually rotate it 90 degrees back so that it's like that. So now it's like kind of hanging out on the back here, and it's still a pretty solid attachment. Because early on, when Cliff and I first started using this, my big concern was I would accidentally knock this off,
right?
And like it's not like you can like go to Amazon and buy this, you know. So I think the magnets are actually mounted on the top here, and each of these surfaces here has a magnet as well.
Right.
So when you flip it back like that, you're just it has a much stronger connection.
The housing is made of aluminum, so it's not going to be magnetic otherwise.
Right. Exactly. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover it back up again. And this just serves. Yeah, it serves as a very nice physical shutter for your camera. You know for a fact nobody is seeing through this. So of course there is a light when actually that's a power light. It doesn't have a light when the camera is on, which I thought was kind of interesting. It has a light indicating that there's power, but it doesn't have a light indicating that the camera's on.
Actually, I think no, because mine. I think. Sorry to correct you. Mine doesn't. The light doesn't come on unless I'm actually using it. Unless I've actually, unless it's got video. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's my experience anyway. But
actually, I'm curious about something. You know what? Which one am I logged? Let me see what happens if I go to camera and switch it to the integrated camera. And the light did turn off. So that's totally my bad. So
I can see why you'd think that though, because the only time you're really ever using it is when you're doing these, and so you're just seeing that light on all the time.
Right, exactly. The light is on literally all the time. Anyway, let's continue with our tour. Yes. So on the back we have a single USB-C port. And that's obviously for your power and for your data. This plugs into your computer, but I mean, and then there's the stand here, which Cliff actually was going to show off. This actually comes with a Allen wrench,
right,
to connect the camera to this bracket. So it's a very secure connection, but this
It also means that you could actually use like a different mount if you wanted to. Like if you, for some reason, wanted to mount it on a tripod, I believe that is the same size.
Oh, yeah.
And it does have the tripod mount as well on the, look at that. It's also got it on the bottom there for you on the stand.
It has a tripod mount on the bottom of the stand there. But yeah, I believe you're right. This could actually work as a tripod mount too. And then when you have it on the stand here, this hooks onto the front of your monitor. And then this, sits on the back, rests on the back of your monitor. So it kind of hooks on like that, like so. And then you can adjust this back piece. What I'll usually do is I'll adjust this back piece. This is kind of like I don't know what the name of it, the not fine adjustment. You know what I mean by fine adjustment? Right. And then there's another word for it. I don't want to say gross adjustment because I don't think that's the right word, but this is like the big adjustment to get it kind of in the neighborhood of where you want. And then it adapts, at the top here.
Right. And it adapts to it has to serve on both laptops and
And
desktop
yeah, and
monitors.
desktops.
So
Like in my case, it's actually on a desktop monitor, which I can show you. It's going on the top of this monitor here. But you can put it on top of a laptop as well. But anyway, once you get it to where you want it to go, then this part here also adjusts, so you can tilt it up and down, and you can also rotate it left and right.
and that, to me, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I wish that there was a way to, how like on a tripod you have the little wheel that you can sort of adjust it, because
tighten and loosen
just a little bit, so that if I wanted it to be less, because it is very like sensitive to touch. Like if I not that I'm reaching up to the top of my monitor, so it's usually out of the way, but
yeah.
I like that I can move it around very easily without worrying about losing the placement on my monitor. But I also
what's funny is, as I was talking about that, I actually kind of knocked it a little bit loose, so I need to.
You're adjusting it.
I need to tighten it up a little bit there.
But I mean, what I was saying is like splitting hairs. But if there was one thing that, because otherwise I'm really happy with it, but I wish there was a way to adjust the tightness of the secondary adjustment, or I guess it would be the menu.
No, I agree, and for exactly the reason that I just demonstrated inadvertently on screen, was as I was adjusting this left and right, I actually loosened up the bolt a little bit, and instead of being able to just like twist a knob, I actually had to get out like a little Tektron screwdriver set
like
here. I'll put a link in the show notes. I'll put the link in the show notes for this.
That is actually really cool.
And you know what? Funny story. I actually picked this up off of Amazon a while ago. It was like $15-$16, something like that. Not much. And like, huh?
Is that a spudger? Yeah, it is.
So so this is for like, prying things, and it has like two little these are like hex nuts that you can adjust, but then like it comes with like these really super teeny tiny, I don't think I can focus on them.
Focus!
Super teeny tiny like hex drivers, and like little Phillips head drivers.
Are those torques? Is that what those are?
Yeah, torques. That's the word. But then I lost the actual driver part.
Oh.
So I was at a dollar store the other day, and I found this, which actually comes with its own like little, screwdriver tips,
on the back of it. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for like eyeglasses and stuff like that. But I was looking at that. I was looking at it in this is literally $1.25. It came from Dollar General, and I was looking. I'm like, that looks like it's about the right size. So I brought it home, and sure enough, these fit right inside.
It even fits in your case too, which is the best
and it
part.
even fits in the box. It's beautiful. Anyway, so back to the webcam. let's
two reviews for the price of one.
Exactly. But yeah, so like the thing that I really liked about it was, you have that, that gross adjustment, and then the fine adjustment. And then once you get it into place, then we could talk about the software.
Right.
So I think that's a pretty good natural transition there. Let me go ahead and reset this back onto my... I just got kind of like precariously balanced on my laptop.
And while we're sort of transitioning there, while you're getting readjusted, I will say one thing that I do like about it is, it's something you wouldn't really think about, but some webcams with the cable, it
just flopped over.
Plop. It's great TV once again, but
it is.
The fact that the cable is removable rather than integrated into it is great.
Right.
In case it gets damaged. For like if it falls and then it gets hung on something, or your cat chews on the cable. I really like that. It's a small thing, but it could be it could save you from a very expensive otherwise mistake, right? And then that was one other thing that I wanted to mention. Oh, you can see on the front there that those well, I guess we can't now, but those two lines that were one on each side of the camera were actually, there you go. Those are for the dual stereo speakers. Or I'm sorry, not speakers, microphones. There we go.
I was gonna say speakers, really? That's new. But no, the microphone.
I haven't used those. So right, and then it. I think it actually does have an integrate. Is that a flash or is that an IR sensor? I don't know what that is to the right of the. You see how there's the two. I don't know if that comes on. That's actually something I haven't used, or maybe that's just. You know what? I bet that's the light sensor. on the front of it there, so I could actually...
Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah, I don't. So what you're seeing on the picture, you're talking about this like long dash, like
yes,
vertical
on the
dash,
left and the right, mm-hmm.
which my unit actually has. But I think that is a light sensor. Or I don't know if it's a light sensor, but because on mine, let me adjust Adam Altcam here real quick. On mine, you can see. Let me remove this. You can see that the dot is actually lit up, but the vertical slash here, which I mean, the vertical slash.
So one's the indicator
is actually
lighting.
Not lit up. It's not lit up. It's actually just an over like an afterglow or like what are they? A bleed. It's bleeding through is what it is.
Right.
So
but I do think that is the light sensor for adjusting the camera based on what the available light.
But the thing is, if that's a light sensor, then that bleed through is a major problem.
Oh, I didn't even think.
So yeah, I don't know
that's
what
true.
That is. So
that's a very good question. But yeah, so the two lines that you saw though on the far sides are your microphones, microphone arrays.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Which is nice.
Oh, sure.
So actually, while we're talking about that, before we actually talk about the software, I'll do my part here to actually switch. So you got the software there. I'm going to switch from my microphone that's in front of me here to the Lumina microphone.
And while you're doing that, let me go ahead and remove this. And let's just do a quick side-by-side comparison. On the left here is the Lumina camera. This is what the camera is seeing, and I need to kind of adjust my face a little bit. And then up here, this is using the main sensor from the iPhone 14 Pro.
Gotcha.
So you can kind of get a sense as to what the difference in quality is. I think just at a glance from what I could see, and it's kind of a smaller screen, but I'm seeing a lot more detail, but also at the same time a little bit more grain in the Lumina camera on the left-hand side. Whereas on the iPhone, things are a bit smoother, but I would also say a touch hazier, like a little bit almost blurrier, if you will, almost like it's like a beauty mode almost. There go the dogs again. But anyway, so
one per episode at least.
Exactly. And you have to, because otherwise it just wouldn't be the show. But I mean, I'm just take, for example, my poorly shaven face. Like you can kind of see the individual hairs on the bottom here. Whereas over on the iPhone, it's not so much. I think there's just a little bit more detail coming from the Lumina. At least that's what I see from my
typically with webcams. I mean, they're using, if it's a more expensive sensor, I think this one and the one in the or the Dell that I had are using a Sony sensor that is normally found in security cameras, high-end security cameras, versus the iPhone, which is yeah, I do see a little more grain. Now you also have the artificial bokeh. Anyway. Throw back to tech beard right there.
Yeah.
But you've also got the artificial bokeh turned on, which we'll talk about in the software.
Which we will talk about in a moment.
Right. But before we switch, like I said, to the software side of it, which we definitely have some strong opinions on.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Dear viewer, just you wait.
All right. So I'm going to switch to, right now I'm on, let's see if I can actually give you the full thing.
Adam Alt, because we don't need it.
Okay. So I am actually on this is it's a studio mic. It is a Lawton Audio LS208 microphone running through a digital audio converter or USB, and it is from Lion Audio. So I mean, this is a pretty expensive setup that I have, especially for a video podcast, but that's how I roll.
Humble brag.
I hate money. I just hate money.
You really do.
So now I'm going to switch to the Lumina camera, audio, and obviously I can't hear myself. Can you hear a difference? I'm sure you guys can hear a difference on the...
Yes, I can hear a difference.
Now, I've actually used this mic without using my
just raw audio coming from the webcam, and I didn't have anybody complain when I've done like Zoom calls. But that's because in general the audio that comes from webcams and even on laptops is just not very great. So the bar is very low, and anything other than just incredibly poor audio is not going to draw reactions from most people.
Yes, now, I can definitely hear a difference between what you're talking about. I mean, and what I'm trying to illustrate there is, there is a very stark difference. It's not bad. There is a huge difference between what you hear from your studio setup and what you get from the from the microphone. There's no bass to your voice at all. It's actually a little bit. I would actually say it leans to the treble tones a little bit.
It's
too
very
much.
sibilant. That's one thing I've noticed about it. Yeah,
sibilance, exactly.
But I would say, and this is with an asterisk, right? For a webcam, it has pretty good audio. For a webcam. Leave it at that. Mm-hmm. But again, like I said, the bar is very low. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So now we've taken a look at the visual, like compared to the visual of the Lumina compared to a well-known camera, the iPhone 14 Pro, and now we've listened to the audio compared to a studio setup.
One thing I neglected to mention, sorry, just real quick, is, and we don't really have anything to compare it to. I would say that the Lumina camera compared to, especially something like the Razr, is very small, which is an advantage, I think, especially for someone who takes it on the road. Yeah. So again, I think this is why what we're about to go into here is so important to it, because like I said, software is so much an integrated part, an integral part of Lumina, the Lumina webcam experience, for better and worse.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Okay, so now let's take a look at the software that you get along with this. Now, when you set up your Lumina software, there are two different options that you can select as your main source. There's Lumina Camera Raw, and there's Lumina Camera Plus. Now, currently, Cliff and I are both using Lumina Camera Plus. Correct. And what Plus is, basically what Raw is exactly what it sounds like. This is the raw feed of what your camera is spitting into your computer that it is then turning around and putting out. And I think what I can do is I can switch to the raw.
I was about to go, no, don't do it. So what's happened here is something that we're going to talk about in the software, and I have a feeling we'll end up editing this part out. But you do have both the raw and the plus, which is basically the artificial intelligence integrated into it. Oh, there he is. And now he doesn't have a mic. So there is the raw video feed, which will work without Lumina software installed. I actually confirmed that today. It just shows up as an available video device. It says Lumina Raw. But then there is the software side, which is, which I don't have this. I guess I could bring that in, or Adam can bring it in. But and that's where all the magic happens from Lumina. And so, okay, it looks like he's back. This is hilarious. Because
okay. All right, I'm fine. I had to get a few things off my chest before I came back into the feed.
All right, so what we're gonna do, I think, in fact, do we want to just clap and say we're gonna cut that part out in the review?
No, we're fine.
Okay. Well, actually, this is a pretty good.
This is what you get when you're dealing with the Lumina software.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we are not cutting this out, Lumina. We are leaving this goddamn in here right now.
So you have, like Adam was saying, you have two different feeds. Adam, do you want to bring that software back up?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? Your favorite part of the Lumina experience.
Holy crap, people. Like, I did not expect it to fail that magnificently, but
no, in fact, when you were doing that, I was like, oh no, it's gonna fail. No, don't do it. And then you disappeared.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so,
Anyway.
so here's the thing, and I have not used the Lumina software, which is available for both Windows and Mac OS. Is that you have to bring up the software in order to use Lumina Plus, which you 99% are likely to want to do, and you have to do that before you bring up. In fact, you have to have the browser that, like as an example, we're using StreamYard, which is browser based.
Yeah.
You have to have that completely closed and the software open, and make sure that everything is working on the Lumina software side before you open up StreamYard in this case.
Now,
or it'll just give
I would
you...
like to point out for the record that all of my work, all of my job is done in a browser. So I never ever close all of my browser windows. It just doesn't happen. I barely turn my computer off. But anyway, so go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah, so for a lot of people, that is going to be definitely a point of frustration. With that said, if you try to switch feeds while you're streaming, this is actually something I tested out before we were going live, because I'm like, I want to see if I can actually switch between Lumina Raw and Lumina Plus, and nope.
I've done it in the past, though. Like, maybe not with StreamYard, but when I'm doing, like, because I'm on video calls all the time for my job.
Were you using Zoom?
I've been using Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, you name it. Like,
so that's like a standalone video solution. So maybe with
maybe it's probably that.
It's probably, but with a browser, because what it's actually going and doing is it's capturing that video, right? So it's feeding from something else. And sometimes they just don't play so nicely. I will say though that Lumina has been improving the software significantly since I started using it, and they continue to update the firmware on the camera, because the video has gotten significantly, the quality has gotten better since I've started using it, and that's in a period of less than 6 months. So yes, we are rightfully so criticizing the software model here, but I will say that it's not one of those, for a small company, the fact that they are continuing to improve it is good. It's a good sign if you decide that this is a product you want to buy.
So now let's just be very, very clear and distinct about what we're talking about here.
Right, exactly.
If you do not have the Lumina software open and running before you open your web browser window, you're probably going to be stuck with the Lumina raw feed, which doesn't allow you to adjust framing. It doesn't allow you to adjust. I think you can adjust color with the raw feed, but it doesn't allow you to adjust the framing at all. So, like in a case like with me, where I have a very specific background, which by the way you're not looking at right now because the camera is in a different place, but I have a very specific background that I want people to see, and I have a background that I definitely don't want people to see. And
if you want to see what he doesn't want you to see, just go watch All About Android from today. It was like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, that was where some of this frustration came into play. But
anyway, so now if you don't have, when you try to switch to the Lumina Plus, which is what we're using right now, it will just show you like a Windows background, like a Windows green field background that says Lumina Plus is starting, and it never starts. It just hangs there.
Right.
So you have to switch back to the raw feed and use that for better or for worse. So if you are going to use the Lumina Plus feed, make sure that is the very first thing you open. And by the way, before we came on the air tonight, I closed all of my browser windows. I opened the Lumia software. I reopened my browser windows, and it still would not load Lumia Plus. I had to restart my computer entirely just to get Lumina Plus to work.
And again, why this is because usually with a webcam, I mean, yes, like if you have a Logitech webcam, there is software that you can install that enhances the experience, that will do, tuning and will manage some of the finer points of the webcam, but you can use it without it. And technically you can do that with, but this Lumina camera has a very wide field of view. Right. And using the software, what is 9/10 of what makes the camera when it's good because it's all being
Right.
done, being processed there. So yeah, when this doesn't work, it's very frustrating.
Really frustrating.
I haven't had
and-
quite as bad of an experience as Adam. Sorry, but it's still, I've had plenty of frustration. Trust me.
And I also wonder if that's like a Mac versus PC thing too,
It could be.
because I'm
It could
using a
be.
PC. I'm using a PC. You're using a Mac, and you haven't had nearly the number of problems that I've had with it. And again, these problems are all software based. I
Yes.
mean, like the hardware itself is very nice, and obviously 3 months later, I'm still using this webcam. So I obviously consider the annoyance not as the annoyance doesn't outweigh the benefits
Right.
of using
It's not a deal
this
breaker.
webcam, because I think this webcam actually does look really good, even compared to something like an iPhone 14 Pro, which I very easily could use as my webcam all the time if I wanted to. I mean, StreamYard makes it stupid easy to use basically whatever camera you want on their stream. I've got an iPhone here, a Samsung phone here, the Lumina camera here, and I've even had my integrated webcam on this broadcast right now. Like StreamYard is not picky about what camera you use. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about what you can do with the software. And
so I want to stop you, just make sure, because I don't remember if you remember. Do not turn on cameraman. It'll do the same thing that you just had the issue with.
Okay, good to know.
I had that happen earlier tonight. So once again, we don't want to have the software fail.
I actually wanted to see. I don't know if our audience will put up with this, and maybe this is something that we can cut out. But I was wondering if maybe I could actually do like a quick edit layout where I bring up, because I want to show you like what these adjustments do compared to how the actual picture looks. And right now you can't see it really because it's kind of small. And I don't know if there's another.
Well, just take me out and put.
Well, if I take you out, we won't hear you anymore.
Oh, well, I'll just be quiet
while we learned earlier in this broadcast.
Well, just take me out and put the windows up there, and you can walk.
Let me just see here. What we can do.
Oh, I see. The quick edit layout. I got you.
So this is me, and then this is going to be you. So I'm just going to make you small and put you over here. And
just like my wife does.
Right. And then media slot is going to be the software. So we're going to make this nice and big so that you can see what's going on in the software. And if we had thought about this earlier, we would have done this off camera. But anyway, we didn't. So thank you for giving us that option. I'm going to take this. And
this is what's really cool about the software that we use or for streaming, or not software,
but StreamYard.
The service. Yeah. StreamYard is very configurable in terms of, we have the three different camera feeds, right? No, 4 different camera feeds. And you can arrange these windows in custom ways, which is really neat. So let's see what you set up for us.
So what's kind of irritating though is even though this is a vertical software, like a portrait mode software, I can't move this anymore off to the side. There's a blue bound box that you can't see that I can move it this way and this way, but I cannot move it any farther to the right. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to leave that as is, and we're just going to call it good. And I'm going to call that custom layout number 2. And there, and wait, and then I need to switch to it. There we go. And then okay, so you can kind of see me a little bit better. It's not amazingly better, but it's a little bit better. So anyway, in the detail area, so we mentioned before that you could use AI in order to blur the background. And so as you can see, as I turn the blur down, the lights in the background, especially around like this area here, they get more blurry and less blurry. And you can see the stuff over here too is also kind of blurring out. And I think I don't know that this is a decision on Lumina's part, but this line actually gets thicker in between the 6 and the 3, and I think they're just kind of telling you that they're telling you this is where the sweet spot is. And then there's also the edge strength here, which kind of like You can actually probably see it a lot in my facial hair right now, but
Yes.
as you move the edge strength up and down, it's gonna put,
this
more
is what I
stuff.
really like about their software, and it also has to do with the color tuning too, which I'm sure we'll show you. But the fact that it allows you to fine tune this
The
to
look.
your taste so much, like as an example, the blur padding. If you have, let's just say, you're very fuzzy like Adam is. You can actually.
I am fuzzy.
Yes, so you can actually, and well, plus you've got long hair that you can get some flyaways. Like you can add padding to it, and then you can sort of balance that against the edge strength to find like the perfect amount of like edge blurring versus. I love that, and it's really hard to see unless you honestly almost have like a full screen.
So look at my at this ear cup right here, and look at the Rebel symbol behind me. As I turn the padding up, you can see that you can see more of that as I move my head back and forth. And then if I turn the blur padding down to like 1 or 0, you don't see that anymore.
And then you've got the person sharpness down below, which again is you can sort of like. I mean, you can get that real artificial sharpness going on, and if you want to see every hair, I mean, again, it's just you can really fine tune your look. I like that about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I very much like that. And then if you go to like framing, I will not turn on the cameraman. But
so let's talk about what cameraman is first. That's their artificial. Well, okay, so I talked about the 4K Dell camera that I had before, which had an auto framing thing similar to what Apple has built into their webcam software and the iPhone, where it'll follow you around. Insta360 does that with physically with their camera. This is all done based in like the high res. Because this is a 4K. I don't know if we mentioned that or not, but it's a 4K sensor.
It is.
And then we're actually cropped in, and I think we're actually streaming at 720 because that's the limitation of
on
StreamYard as far as the paid tier that we're at. But
well, you also mentioned, and let's just go ahead and throw this out there right now. You mentioned the ultra wide angle of the camera. I am cropped into level 9 right now, which is the maximum. But if I zoom back out to level 0, this is the entire field of view, all the way from here, all the way to like the other, like halfway through my TV, which I can't even reach with my hand. I mean, it's like. It's insane how wide this field of view is.
Right.
And by the way, all of this over here, that's what I don't want you to see.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and crop right back in here. But once you crop back in, and we were talking about the cameraman thing where it can follow you around. If you actually grab this box, you can drag it around, and you can say, this is what, this is the part of the frame that I want you to see. And you can really fine tune it like that. And I believe if you like click on the little arrows, you can, move it like a little bit at a time. So I mean, like this is like super customizable with what you can do with this. And if I wanted to do kind of like a faux cameraman, I could move my head over here, and then I can kind of drag the box along with me to show you like what we're talking about. But I can't turn cameraman on, because if I do, I will blow up the entire podcast again. But anyway, so like it's really cool that you can do that. And like if you look at the face position here, when you turn cameraman on, you can choose if you want to have a lot of headspace, if you want to have no headspace, or if you want to have something somewhere in between. And then
even if with the cameraman off, if you turn off static framing, you can do that too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if I turn that off,
it's not.
Things up?
I think that'll be okay.
Okay.
There you go. Then see right now you're like in the middle.
Oh, you know what? When I turned off static
framing, wow, yours worked,
and it didn't blow it up. So,
well, okay, so that works better on the Mac than it does on a PC.
And so,
I'm sorry, on a PC better than a Mac.
Let me tell you what's going to happen here is I'm going to turn static framing back on, and if it blows up the podcast again, I'm just going to switch to Adam Alt Cam, and we're just going to finish it out with that. But okay, we're good. Okay,
cool.
So, and then I can zoom back in, and I can position my frame as I want it to be. And anyway, and then there's this last tab here, which gives you control over your exposure level. That looks like crap. and the brightness. So you've got that. And you can actually see, I actually have the brightness kind of outside the sweet spot there, just because I needed to do that. And then you can adjust the warmth and the hue if I want to look green or if I want to look blue.
I mean, a lot of this would be helpful depending on what the color temperature of your indoor lighting is.
Right, exactly.
Which,
and then you can adjust the white balance, the saturation. I mean, the bottom line is you can make all of these different changes, and you can really, and I know Cliff has said this a number of times, but you can really fine tune what your camera's seeing and what your camera experience is.
The other side of this,
to an almost absurd level.
Yes. The other side of this too is not. I mean, I would imagine 70% of the people that have purchased this camera or potentially could probably don't want to mess with that. It does have like the auto tuning stuff too, where it'll just fit, it'll take a look at the light and everything and
it does an
set
auto
a profile
mode,
for you. Right.
Yeah. So
that's part of Camera Plus.
And like all of this stuff is great, but the freaking thing doesn't work if you don't close your browser windows and sometimes restart your computer, which is like, as cool as all this stuff is over here, it's offset almost entirely by the fact that it only works when it freaking feels like working. And that's like probably the most maddening part about this whole thing. And we've already blown up the podcast once because of the the floopiness of the camera.
Right.
Floopiness is a word that I made up.
Whoopsie doodle and floopy.
Whoopsie doodle and floopy. So I mean, overall impressions on the camera is it's a really nice camera, and you can really do a lot of good things with it. But it's kind of like it would be fair to say it's.
Sorry, what? I was just gonna say I kind of compare it to owning an older Ferrari, right? It's a joy to drive or use, but it's not exactly the most reliable thing.
Yeah, something like that, or like I would say owning an older dog. Very, very snuggleable, very, very cute and cuddly, but every once in a while it's going to piss on your carpet and bark during your podcast.
That's a good comparison.
I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And you have to decide whether the cuteness is enough to deal with the barking of the podcast. So I guess go ahead and comment down below. Is the cuteness of the dog worth barking on the podcast? And I'm actually talking about my dog, not about the camera. You can probably comment about the camera too if you want. But no, seriously, comment about the dog, because I think they're about to start barking again. So why don't we go ahead and wrap things up here? Did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to share here, Cliff?
Let's just real talk. I'm going to switch over to my browser window here again.
Okay.
I know we got this custom layout. Yeah, you want to swap? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, there we go. So I'm actually gonna go to my browser window and so
close your porn tabs.
It's too late. It ships in 4 different colors. So I think you and I both have this atomic gray. There's
the
also
silver,
yeah, exactly. Gold, rose gold, and silver. So you can see it pretty inspired by Apple. Very Apple-esque kind of design too. And right now, they say limited time offer. It's been $175 since it went back up to $175 from $149 during Black Friday. So it's kind of like if you've ever been to a department store where Kohl's, where it says, "Oh, the price is $99," but it's never $99. It's always 30 something. They just put that there. Or Amazon, I think, actually kind of does that too. When they have their sale items, they're like, the suggested retail price is $349, but no, it's never actually that.
I used to work at a kiosk in a shopping mall that sold jewelry, and everything was always 70% off.
Exactly. Like your prices are lies. Why does it actually go down if you? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna order 4 for only $700. It's great.
Yeah, but, there you go.
So I'll just say this. I personally, despite the software frustration, especially when working through the browser, it seems to be where you really have the issues. Like with StreamYard when you're Yeah, I'm absolutely glad I purchased it because I mean it has really improved the quality of my video, and as someone who can be a little bit of a control freak with certain things like graphic design stuff, I mean, having the ability to fine tune the image, I really like.
Sure,
So.
absolutely. And again, I'm happy with it because it has increased the quality of the podcast. And I'm willing to deal with it just because, for two reasons. One, I think it adds a lot to. It's a lot better than the webcams I have used in the past. And two, I really don't want to research any more webcams, at least not for a long time.
Yes,
so
because it shouldn't be something you buy a lot.
Because this is my old dog, and I'm gonna wait until it dies before I go get a new one. So I think that's a pretty good place to end the podcast. So that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Please consider subscribing to the podcast if you enjoyed it. If you really enjoyed it, I would love it if you would subscribe and smash that bell so that you can be notified of new episodes and reviews as they drop. And you can be notified of podcast episodes as they blow up, because that's how the button works. And if you want some early access, jump onto Patreon at patreon.com/benefit of the Doud, and you can get some early access that way. I would like to thank co-producer Cliff for all of his hard work behind the scenes and for fighting this maddening piece of technology that I've been using for the past 3 months. But most of all, and as always, I would like to thank you for listening and for watching and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.
All right, I have to